Welcome to the Daily Current Affairs by CivicCentre IAS, where we try to discuss the important articles from the Hindu, the Indian Express and the PIB from the UPSC CSC prelims perspective. Displayed are the list of topics which we are going to discuss in today's video. The first article of the day says that India's achievements in this mission have not only gained national attention but also global recognition. So let's break down how far we have come, the goals we are aiming for, and what's driving India's path towards a TB-free future. Let's start with some background. Did you know that between 2015 and 23, India achieved a 17.7% decline in TB cases? This progress is more than double the global average, which sits at just 8.3%. This incredible achievement has been highlighted in the World Health Organization's Global Tuberculosis Report 2024, putting India on the global stage for its commitment to ending TB. India is now setting its sights on ambitious target of eliminating TB by 2025. That's 5 years ahead of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal deadline of 2030. This drive shows just how determined India is to tackle this epidemic. So, what are the India's goals for TB elimination? Aligned with the SDG target 3.3, India has three main objectives. Firstly, to achieve an 80% reduction in TB incidence, which means fewer new cases per lakh population compared to the 2015 levels. Secondly, to reduce the TB related deaths by 90%, also compared to 2015. Thirdly, to ensure that no TB affected household experiences catastrophic health experiences. So India's commitment to these goals has been championed by leaders like Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who reinforced this vision at the 2018 End TB Summit and the recent One World TB Summit in 2023. Furthermore, India's National Tuberculosis Elimination Program, or the NTEP, is the backbone of our fight against tuberculosis. Supported by the National Strategic Plan from 2017 to 2025, this program focuses on early diagnosis, prevention, patient support, and partnership across different sectors. Now let's look at some of the major achievements under the NTEP as of the year 2023. So over 1.89 crore sputum smear tests and 68.3 lakh nucleic acid amplification tests have been conducted to ensure timely and accurate TB diagnosis. In terms of the preventive care, around 15 lakh beneficiaries have received tuberculosis preventive treatment, including new, shorter treatment options. This program also focuses on comprehensive patient care, addressing health issues like malnutrition, diabetes, HIV, and substance abuse, conditions that can complete the TB outcomes. NTP has also introduced some innovative approaches to support TB patients and improve their quality of care. For instance, under the Nikshay Poshan Yojana, direct benefit transfers have dispersed nearly 2,781 crore rupees to around 1 crore TB patients, helping them manage health expenses during treatment. And there's more. New support initiatives to incentivize healthcare workers like Asha workers, TB Vijetas, and Nikshay Sathis or the family caregivers to provide even better care and encouragement to TB patients. Furthermore, the community involvement is another essential piece of this puzzle. In September 2022, the government launched the Pradhan Mantri TB Mukt Bharat Abhiyan or the PMTB MBA. This initiative has rallied over 1.5 lakh Nikshay Mitras or the community supporters to join the mission against TB. By increasing the awareness and mobilizing the communities, this program has strengthened the advocacy and support for those affected by TB. India's journey towards TB elimination has made significant strides, but the mission continues. With a strong commitment, advanced strategies, and the support of communities and healthcare workers across the country, India is closer than ever to achieving a TB-free future by 2025. This story is a testament to how a united effort can drive impactful change, improving lives, and setting an example for the world. Through the next article, we are exploring an exciting new chapter in India's green revolution, which is the PM Electric Drive Revolution in Innovative Wealth Vehicle Enhancement, or the PM E-Drive scheme. Launched on October 1st of 2024, this ambitious program is set to transform India's transportation landscape by promoting electric vehicle adoption and building a self-reliant EV ecosystem. So let's dive into the details and understand what PM E-Drive means for India's future. See, the PM E-Drive scheme was launched with a substantial financial outlay of 10,900 crore and will be active until March 31st of 2026. It's designed to boost the electric vehicle adoption on a massive scale. And here's the exciting part. It's not just about encouraging EV purchases. The scheme also focuses on building a robust EV manufacturing ecosystem here in India, which aligns perfectly with our Atmanirbhar Bharat vision. And looking further ahead, PM E-Drive is also a key player in helping India achieve its net zero emission target by 2070. So it's not only about the cleaner air, but also about setting up India on the path to becoming a global leader in sustainable transportation. So the PM Drive has four primary objectives. Firstly, to accelerate EV adoption. The scheme aims to encourage mass adoption of EVs with a special focus on public transportation. Secondly, to build the charging infrastructure. So to support the EV users, it plans to establish a nationwide network of charging stations. Thirdly, to strengthen the EV manufacturing. Through a phased manufacturing program or the PMP, the scheme will promote domestic production and enhance the supply chain. Furthermore, ultimately, the PM E-Drive seeks to reduce the emissions and improve the air quality, which is a win-win for the environment and the public health. Now, how will the scheme achieve these goals? See, PM E-Drive breaks down into three major components. Firstly, the subsidies for demand incentives, which includes a direct support for various EV categories such as electric two-wheelers, three-wheelers, e-ambulances, e-trucks and electric buses. Secondly, grants for the capital assets, which is the financial support is provided for purchasing electric buses, developing charging infrastructure and even upgrading the testing facilities to ensure quality and safety. And lastly, administration awareness. To spread the word and manage the scheme efficiently, there are provisions for information, education and communication activities as well as funding for project management. Furthermore, the scheme is already driving results. In the 2024-25 period, EV sales in India have seen a significant surge, which is for the electric two-wheelers reached 5,71,411 units. Electric three-wheelers, including e-rickshaws and e-carts, hit 1,164 units and electric L5 category three-wheelers sold 71,501 units. This boost in the sales showcases the growing interest in the electric vehicles across the country, which is a promising sign for the future. So, which EV categories qualify for the PM E-Drive benefits? Here's the list. Two-wheelers, three-wheelers, e-ambulances, e-trucks, e-buses. Alongside these vehicles, the scheme also invests in the charging infrastructure to make charging easy and accessible across India. And finally, testing facilities under the Ministry of Heavy Industries will be upgraded to ensure our EVs meet world-class standards. The next article talking about the true critical economic indicators that shape the India's financial landscape, the Consumer Price Index or the CPI and the Index of Industrial Production or the IIP. Both of these metrics play a huge role in guiding economic policies, tracking inflation and even influencing the stock market. So let's break down with these terms what these terms mean, why they matter and how they are calculated. First off, what exactly are CPI and IIP? In simple terms, the Consumer Price Index reflects the inflation trends across urban, rural and combined sectors, while the Index of Industrial Production tracks the growth or decline in various industrial sectors. Together, these indices give us a snapshot of economic health, helping policymakers, businesses and investors to understand where the economy is heading. And here's a quick fact. These indicators are released by Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation or the MOSPI on the 12th of each month at 5:30 p.m. However, if the 12th falls on a holiday, the dates change slightly based on whether it's CPI or IIP. Let's start with the Index of Industrial Production or the IIP. As the name suggests, the IIP measures the changes in the volume of industrial production, but it's a bit more complex than just a total count of goods produced. The Index of Industrial Production uses a basket of industrial products across the sectors like manufacturing, mining and energy. Each sector is given a specific weight based on its importance in the economy and the production is tracked monthly. The index value is then compared to the same month of the previous year, which gives a sense of how our industrial sector is performing. And there's something more important. The IIP is calculated with a base year. Currently, this base year is 2011-12 and it's assigned a value of 100. So if the current IIP reads as 120, it indicates a 20% growth in the production compared to that of base year. Now let's talk about the Consumer Price Index or the CPI. See, the CPI is one of the most widely used indicators for tracking inflation and is a crucial tool for the central bank like the Reserve Bank of India in setting policies to control inflation. So CPI essentially measures the price changes from the perspective of the retail buyers, meaning it looks at the cost of the goods and services consumers buy every day. It tells us how much prices have gone up or down, reflecting the inflation or deflation in the economy. Beyond inflation, CPI also gives insights into the real value of salaries, wages, and pensions by showcasing how much purchasing power people have. It's like a thermometer for the economy. If the CPI rises, it means that the cost of living is going up, which can impact everything from the household budgets to the economic policy. Now, let's quickly talk about how these indices are calculated, starting with CPI. See, the CPI calculation is pretty straightforward. It uses a base year as a benchmark, which is currently set to 2012. And the formula is simple. It is the price of the basket in current period divided by the price of the basket in the base period multiplied by 100. So this formula helps us understand how prices are changing relative to the base year, giving us a percentage that represents inflation or deflation. For the IIP, the base year is 2011 and 12, and it too is assigned a value of 100. So each sector like manufacturing, mining and energy is given a weight and the monthly production levels are compared to the base year. If the IIP index reads higher than 100, it shows the growth in the industrial production relative to the base year. The next article says that a recent ruling by the 9-judge Constitution Bench of the Supreme Court, the court held that not every resource owned by private players can be considered a material resource of the community to be used by the government for the common good. This means that the government cannot just claim any private property in the name of public interest. There are some limits. Now, let's talk about the right to property in India, specifically under Article 300A. Originally, the property rights were a fundamental right under the Articles 19 Clause 1 Subclause F and the Article 31. However, in the year 1978, the 44th Amendment to the Constitution removed the right to property as a fundamental right and made it a constitutional right under Article 300A. So, Article 300A states that no person shall be deprived of his property save by authority of law. In simple terms, it guarantees the right to hold or dispose of property, but it also allows the state to acquire property legally for public purposes. Historically, Article 31 protected the property rights against arbitrary acquisition, but after the 44th Amendment, this constitutional protection was modified. Now, the land reforms and other public welfare measures can often be upheld under the Articles 31A and 31B, which provide specific protections and exceptions in the context of land acquisition. Next, let's go over the 7 fundamental procedural rights that private citizens are entitled before their property can be compulsorily acquired by the states. These rights ensure fairness and due process in property acquisition. Here they are: right to notice, right to be heard, right to be reasoned decision, demonstration of public purpose, right to fair compensation, efficient process, conclusion of proceedings. These rights ensure transparency, accountability, and fairness whenever the state exercises its power of land acquisition. Now, let's discuss the concept of eminent domain, which is the legal principle that allows governments to take private property for public use. In India, this power is governed by specific laws that ensure fair compensation and transparency in the acquisition process. One of the most important laws related to the property acquisition is the right to fair compensation and transparency in land acquisition, rehabilitation, and resettlement Act of 2013. This act regulates the land acquisition by the government and ensures that those whose land is taken are compensated fairly and transparently. This act mandates that the land should only be acquired for public purposes like building roads, schools, and other infrastructure, and the affected persons receive just compensation for the land taken from them. It applies to both the private landowners and land used for public purposes. In conclusion, while the state does have the power to acquire private property for public purposes, there are strict legal guidelines and protections in place to ensure fair treatment. Understanding these rights and the processes involved can help property owners be more informed and proactive in such situations. The next article says that recently the Supreme Court ruled the validity of a law cannot be challenged solely for violating the basic structure of the Constitution. So, let's dive into what this doctrine means, where it came from, and why it's so crucial for safeguarding the constitution. See, the basic structure doctrine was first introduced in landmark Keshavananda Bharati case in 1973. In this historic case, a 13-judge bench of the Supreme Court delivered a narrow 7-6 verdict holding that the Parliament has the power to amend the constitution but cannot alter its basic structure. This ruling established a fundamental principle that the constitution's core identity must be preserved. So the core principle of the basic structure doctrine is that the constitution contains certain fundamental principles, values and features that are so integral to its identity that they must not be altered. This means that any constitutional amendment that damages or destroys these core features would be deemed unconstitutional and could be struck down by the judiciary. An important aspect of this doctrine is that it empowers the judiciary to review the constitutional amendments. Essentially, the judiciary acts as a watchdog, ensuring that amendments don't alter the essential framework or the spirit of the constitution. This serves as a vital check on the Parliament's power, preserving the constitution's core structure and principles. So what exactly are the basic features of a constitution? See, the Supreme Court hasn't provided any exhaustive list, but over time, several key features have been identified. These include democracy and rule of law, separation of powers, judicial review, federalism, secularism, fundamental rights, parliamentary system of government. These features are often referred to as the backbone of the constitution and help define the essence of Indian democracy. So, why is the doctrine so significant? The basic structure doctrine serves as a safeguard against any potential overreach by Parliament. It ensures that no amendment can undermine the fundamental principles of our constitution. In this way, it strikes a balance between the flexibility needed to adapt the constitution over time and the necessity of preserving its core values. It's a powerful reminder that while the laws may evolve, the foundational principles of the constitution must remain intact to uphold the democracy and protect citizens' rights. To sum up, the basic structure doctrine is more than just a legal principle. It's a protective shield for values and principles that make up the soul of the Indian constitution. By defining and preserving the basic structure, the judiciary ensures that India's democracy remains true to its core ideals, no matter how much the laws around it may change. The next article says that recently at the first Asian Buddhist Summit, President Draupadi Murmu highlighted the Buddhism's core messages of peace and non-violence can counter narrow sectarianism and bring about harmony. So let's dive into Buddhism's origins, its foundational teachings, and the path it offers for learning a meaningful life. Let's begin with a brief background on Buddhism. See, Buddhism is one of the world's major religions founded by Siddhartha Gautama. It emerged in India around 6th century BC as a reform movement, reshaping the religious and philosophical landscape of ancient India. Furthermore, Buddhism places a great importance on individuals' journey to enlightenment and emphasizes the impermanence of life. It teaches the need for compassion, mindfulness, and ethical living, qualities that are as relevant today as they were thousands of years ago. At the heart of the Buddhism are its teachings, which are encapsulated in the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path. Together, these teachings provide a roadmap for understanding and ultimately ending the human suffering. Let's start with the Four Noble Truths, which is the foundation for the Buddhist philosophy. Dukkha, which is suffering. This truth explains that life inevitably involves suffering, which includes birth, aging, sickness, and death. Even happiness is fleeting and can lead to suffering. Second thing is Samudaya, which is the origin of suffering. The root of suffering lies in the desire, attachment, and ignorance. It is our craving for things that are impermanent which causes distress. Then is Nirodha, which is cessation of suffering. It's possible to end suffering by eliminating craving and attachment, ultimately achieving Nirvana, which is a state of freedom from the cycle of birth and death, known as samsara. Last one is Magga, which is the path to cessation of suffering. Finally, the way to end suffering is through the Eightfold Path, which serves as a practical guide to living a moral and mindful life. So now let's look at the Eightfold Path, which is a set of practices to achieve the enlightenment and end suffering. Each of the elements of this path encourages a mindful and ethical approach to life. Firstly, right understanding, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and lastly, right concentration. In conclusion, the Buddhism's teachings provide a timeless path for achieving inner peace and helping to bring harmony in the world around us. Through the four noble truths and the eightfold path, we are reminded of the importance of compassion, mindfulness, and ethical living. In today's world, these principles can serve as powerful tools to counter conflicts and help us live more meaningful lives. The next article says that with Americans voting for the 47th US President, External Affairs Minister recently stated that regardless of the election outcome, the India-US relationship and their cooperation with the Quad framework will only continue to grow. So let's take a closer look at what Quad is, its principles, and how it operates. See, the Quad, formerly known as the Quadrilateral Security Dialogue, is an informal strategic forum that brings together four nations, which are Australia, India, Japan, and the USA. These countries share common interests in maintaining a free and open Indo-Pacific region, upholding democratic values, supporting human rights, and ensuring the rule of law. Another key aspect of the Quad's formation is to counter China's growing influence in the Indo-Pacific. Originally, the Quad was formed in 2007 during an informal meeting of the leaders from the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or the ASEAN. It was the late Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe who first proposed the idea of creating this coalition. So, what are the principles that guide Quad? See, the primary goal of Quad is to ensure that strategic sea routes in the Indo-Pacific remain free from any military or political influence. This objective reflects a shared desire to reduce Chinese domination in the region. The core objectives of the Quad include securing a rules-based global order, ensuring freedom of navigation, and supporting a liberal trading system. Additionally, the Quad aims to offer alternative debt financing options for countries in the Indo-Pacific, providing these nations are with a choice beyond what China offers. Now, let's talk about how the Quad functions. Unlike the formal alliances like NATO, the Quad is a loose grouping rather than a structured organizations. It doesn't have a decision-making body, secretariat, or formal structure like NATO or the United Nations. Unlike the NATO, the Quad does not have any provisions for collective defense. Instead, the Quad focuses on conducting joint military exercises as a show of unity and diplomatic cooperation. The alliance is sustained through regular summits, meetings, information exchanges, and coordinated military drills among its member nations. In summary, the Quad represents a strategic grouping that aims to promote peace and stability and rules-based order in the Indo-Pacific region. Its focus on countering China's influence, ensuring freedom of navigation, and providing alternative financial support for the Indo-Pacific nations has established the Quad as a significant player in the global stage. The next article says that recently Roche sought a permanent injunction against Natco Pharma, aiming to prevent the launch of a generic version of risdiplam, which is a drug used for treating spinal muscular atrophy or the SMA. So, let's start with an important question. What exactly are rare diseases? Broadly, a rare disease is a health condition of low prevalence, meaning it affects a relatively small number of people compared to more common diseases. Now, there isn't a universal definition for rare diseases. Each country typically arrives at its own description based on factors like disease prevalence, severity, and whether alternative treatment options are available. Some well-known examples of rare diseases include hemophilia, thalassemia, sickle cell anemia, and various autoimmune diseases. The impact of rare diseases on patients and healthcare systems is profound. Rare diseases exhibit diverse symptoms that can vary widely between the patients, which often leads to misdiagnosis. The low prevalence of these conditions means there is limited medical expertise and knowledge available, resulting in inadequate care and a lack of research. Patients with rare diseases face chronic, progressive, and frequently life-threatening conditions. These illnesses significantly impact their quality of life and personal autonomy, often leaving them in constant need of medical and emotional support. Recognizing the unique challenges posed by the rare diseases, the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare introduced the National Policy for Rare Diseases, or the NRPD, in the year 2021. This policy is designed specifically to address the needs of rare disease patients across India. To increase the focus on indigenous research and local production of medicines, this will help in developing affordable treatments for rare diseases within India. Then, to lower the cost of the treatment for rare diseases, the treatment costs for rare diseases are typically high. So, this policy seeks to make these treatments more accessible to patients. And then, early detection and screening are crucial because they can prevent the complications and potentially reduce the severity of certain rare conditions. In conclusion, Rare diseases present a unique challenges for patients, healthcare professionals, and the entire healthcare system. With policies like the National Policy for Rare Diseases, India is taking steps toward providing better treatment options, supporting local research, and ultimately giving hope to the patients with these complex conditions. The last article of the day says that a recent study by the University of New South Wales, Australia, India has highlighted a significant impact on the DFCs on reducing freight costs and travel time, leading to a reduction in commodity prices and contributing to the revenue growth for the railways. So let's dive into what the DFCs are, why they are planned, and how they are developing the India's GDP. Dedicated freight corridors are specialized routes designed specifically for freight transportation by Indian Railways. The main purpose of these corridors is to improve the capacity, speed, and efficiency in transporting goods across the country. DFC construction began in 2006, led by Ministry of Railways with two main routes planned, which are the Eastern Dedicated Freight Corridor. This route spans 1,337 kilometers, running from Somnagar in Bihar to Sahanwal in Punjab. A Western Dedicated Freight Corridor covering 1,506 kilometers. It connects Jawaharlal Nehru Port in Mumbai to Dadri in Uttar Pradesh. Furthermore, the need for DFCs emerged due to the heavy utilization of the railways Golden Quadrilateral, which links key cities like Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, and Aura and handles a large volume of passenger and freight traffic. By creating separate corridors for freight, Indian Railways aims to increase its share in the national freight market. Now, let's talk where we are today with these corridors. As of March 2024, a total of 94,091 crore rupees has been invested in the DFCs. The Eastern Dedicated Freight Corridor is now fully operational with feeder lines connecting to coal mines and power plants, whereas the Western Dedicated Freight Corridor is 93% complete and serves as major ports in Gujarat with full completion expected by December 2025. Currently, an impressive 325 trains run daily on these DFCs, marking 60% increase from previous year. Furthermore, the DFC trains are not only faster but also heavier and safer than the traditional freight trains. Today, DFCs handle over 10% of Indian Railways freight load with 232 billion gross ton kilometers and 122 billion net ton kilometers of payload transported since inception. In conclusion, the India's dedicated freight corridors are proving to be a game changer for both economy and Indian Railways. By reducing the freight costs, improving efficiency, and expanding market reach, DFCs are playing a crucial role in bolstering India's GDP. And with future corridors planned, we can expect even greater benefits in the coming years. So in this video, we have discussed 9 articles in total for today. We'll be back again with another video tomorrow. Thank you.